Joseph Cooper, a former NASA test pilot, now works as a farmer and raises his children Murph and Tom. One morning, his daughter Murph wakes Hum and asks if he saw another dream about the plane crash, to which he responds that he doesn't want to talk about it. Later, Cooper's father-in-law Donald calls the children for breakfast. On the breakfast table, Cooper's son Tom teases Murph a ghost broke the miniature lander, as Murph believes that ghosts exist. Outside, Cooper and Donald talk about a new disease blight that is spreading across the farms. Cooper and kids then leave for school, but their car's tire is blown during the ride. Tom patches up the tire while Cooper has a talk with Murph. He then notices a military drone passing above them and orders his kids to get back in the car and asks Tom to follow the drone. Cooper wants to capture the drone as Tom drives and chases it. Cooper successfully hacks the drone and takes control of it and lands it with the help of his daughter, and he intends to use the drone for a better purpose. They all reach the school and Cooper attends a parent-teacher conference where Tom's principal explains his son's potential of being a great farmer someday. But Cooper argues that he wants his son to go to college someday, and the taxpayer money should be able to fund the university since there are no more armies. The principal argues that the country is not in need of college-educated people, and more farmers are needed to save people from famine. Murph's teacher expresses concern over her growing fascination with moon landing, which is considered as fake. The teacher feels that these breakthroughs of society are useless, but Cooper argues that if useless breakthroughs like MRI were still being used, then his wife would be alive. The teacher apologizes and asks for Cooper's cooperation in helping Murph. Cooper comes back to the car and informs Murph that she is suspended from school and takes her back to the farm. When they reach the farm, they notice all tractors have gone haywire, and inside Murph's room, books are all over the floor. Murph says that Ghost is trying to communicate through Morse code, but Cooper disagrees. Cooper fixes the tractors, but the reason behind their malfunctioning remains a mystery. Later, Cooper takes the kids to a baseball game and promises them to take care of the farm in future, when suddenly they notice a massive sandstorm approaching. They drive back to the farm when Murph remembers that she left a window open. When they reach back, Cooper runs up to the window to close it and notices that there are strange patterns on the floor in the settled dust. Cooper examines the dust patterns and discovers that they are created due to a gravitational anomaly, and sand is communicating through binary code. He and Murph translate the patterns into geographic coordinates, and Cooper decides to travel to the location but refuses to take Murph with him. However, Murph slips into the car by hiding under the blankets, leaving Cooper with no option. They reach near the location at night and a gate blocks their way. Cooper thinks of cutting the wired gate, but gets tasered. When Cooper regains consciousness, he is inside the protected area and TARS, which is Tactical Robot, interrogates him. Dr. Amelia Brand then enters the room and introduces herself, leading Cooper to a conference room. Cooper's daughter is in the room with elderly crowd. Cooper explains that they accidentally found the hidden base, however. Murph discloses that gravitational anomalies gave them the coordinates. Cooper stops her and demands the people to guarantee their safety first before divulging any information. People in the meeting laugh at him, revealing that they are from NASA. A group of engineers are working behind the walls on a rocket ship, and Professor Brand explains how society doesn't want to support any funding for space exploration anymore due to famine and blight. They are secretly putting efforts to find a solution for the food shortage. The professor then explains how the disease blight has affected major crops, which are not growing anymore, and it will now affect the crops of corn. He further explains that blight is consuming the oxygen of Earth, and Murph's generation might be the last one on Earth to survive. NASA is in the search of a new home for humans, and a project has been in progress called Endurance, which is a part of Lazarus mission. These missions are the last expedition for searching habitable planets for saving humanity. Dr. Brand explains that some 10 years ago they found a wormhole near Saturn that leads to another galaxy with 12 different planets. NASA sent 12 astronauts on these planets to discover if these are habitable for humanity. Out of 12 astronauts, 3 have sent back signals of survival, and a rescue mission needs to be performed. Cooper agrees to be a part of Project Endurance as pilot in order to save humanity and especially his children. Dr. Brand explains that they have 2 plans to save humanity. In Plan A, they would try to turn the facility that they are currently in as a spacecraft that will harness gravitational forces to propel itself and surviving humans into space till they find another planet. In Plan B, they will locate a habitable planet and set up new colonies of humans with thousands of fertilized eggs. Believing in Dr. Brand's plan, Cooper agrees to help, but back home, Murph is not happy with the decision. She thinks that Cooper will never return from his journey and she will be left alone. She also warns him that her ghost is trying to stop him from going through messages she deciphered using Morse code that say, "Stay." However, Cooper tells her that he will be back in some years and they will live together a happy life. Cooper gives Murph his watch and sets it with the watch he is wearing, asking her to keep his watch as a souvenir, and they might be of same age as time works slow in space when he returns to Earth. But Murph throws it angrily and Cooper leaves for his mission, passing the responsibilities and his truck to his son Tom. The rocket launches and Copper's crew along with robot TARS leave Earth. They reach the Endurance space station and Doyle helps them in locking the hatch, successfully docking the spacecraft. The crew then enters the space station and meet Case, another robot. The boosters turn on and space station starts rotating, embarking them on a journey to Saturn for next 2 years. As the crew prepares for a deep sleep, Amelia talks about the 3 astronauts that went on Lazarus mission and have been sending back data from their respective planets. Dr. Mann, who is the most brilliant astronaut and researcher among them, Dr. Miller, and Dr. Edmonds. Cooper feels that Amelia has a relationship with Edmonds and asks TARS about it, but he dodges the question and declares that he is not programmed to divulge personal information. Cooper records a video message for his kids before going into cryostasis. Back on Earth, Dr. Brand visits Cooper's family and provides them the video message recorded by Cooper, but Murph shows no interest. Donald asks Dr. Brand to take Murph under his wing. In space, years have passed and crew is nearing the wormhole. Doyle and Cooper review the images collected by probes that went through the wormhole. The crew prepares to enter the wormhole knowing that the fate of humanity depends on their success. The spacecraft travels into the wormhole with insane speed, and the crew barely tries to keep up. Just then, Amelia sees a distortion near her seat and thinks that these are the omnibenevolent beings that she finds responsible behind placing the wormhole in space. Once they are done passing the wormhole, everything goes to normal as they enter another galaxy. The crew decides which planet should be visited first. As Edmund's connection is lost now, they are left with 2 choices. Dr. Miller's planet, which is near a giant black hole Gargantua, where time is severely dilated, making 1 hour equaling the 7 years of Earth. Doyle argues that they should go with Plan B, leaving the people on Earth to die and set up new colonies. However, Cooper proposes a different plan where they will travel to opposite side of Gargantua and travel to the planet in a lander, so that their time isn't affected when they land. The crew agrees and prepare to land on Dr. Miller's planet. Case travels with the crew and lander, while Romilly stays back in the spacecraft. The crew experience severe turbulence while entering Dr. Miller's planet, but Cooper takes control of the lander and saves it from hitting the ocean underneath and successfully lands the ship on water. Amelia, along with Case and Doyle, searches for Dr. Miller's signal. They find her beacon with some debris in the water, but there is no sign of her. Amelia thinks Miller would be on the giant mountains and they should rescue her, but Cooper deduces that the mountains are giant waves. Cooper warns Doyle and Amelia and asks them to come back in lander to survive, but Amelia strays far from the lander to search for data under the wreckage. Case saves Amelia, and just as Doyle and Amelia get into lander, the wave crushes them, forcing Amelia into the lander. But Doyle falls back into the crushing waves. The ship gets damaged due to hard-hitting waves, and Cooper lashes out on Amelia for not getting back in the ship on time. This accident causes them to lose Doyle and decade worth of time. Case informs them that another wave is approaching, so they fire up the lander and rescue themselves out of Miller's planet. When they reach back to the space station, an aged Romilly greets them, revealing that around 23 years have passed since they left for Miller's planet. Cooper listens to the messages his family has recorded over the past years and realizes that Donald is dead and his son Tom has grown up to be a farmer, a husband, and a father. Murph has also grown up and became distant from her family. The message ends with Murph telling Cooper that it is her birthday today, and she and Cooper are of same age now. She begs him to return to Earth if he is alive in space. Murph is working with Dr. Brand on Earth to solve the equation for Plan A to work. She realizes that equation is wrong and needs to change. However, Dr. Brand is already aware and doesn't changes the equation. Back at Endurance, crew decides to travel to one of the 2 remaining planets due to fuel shortage. Signals have stopped coming from Edmund's planet, but signals have been continuous from Dr. Mann's planet. Amelia argues that Edmund's planet is farther from Black Hole and is better choice for visiting, but Cooper argues that Dr. Mann's planet is near and has been continuous in sending signals, and appears to be a better option. He further argues that Amelia is in a relationship with Edmund, and this should not be a deciding factor for choosing the next planet. However, Amelia says that she wants to follow her heart, and she is positive that Edmund's planet will be the better choice between two planets. Back on Earth, Tom is trying to be a good farmer while providing for his family. He has lost his first son, and his second son has severe respiratory problems due to Earth's unfavorable environment filled with dust storms. Murph visits Dr. Brand in hospital where he is breathing his last minutes. He then confesses that he never intended for the Plan A to work, and he sent Cooper and rest of the crew just for the Plan B to work. He never planned for their return to Earth. Murph feels hurt and betrayed, and asks if his father knew of this before going on the mission, but Dr. Brand dies without answering. Murph records a message for Amelia conveying the news of Dr. Brand's death and accusing her of knowing the truth behind the mission Endurance. On Endurance, Cooper and Romilly chart course to Dr. Mann's planet, ignoring Amelia's suggestion, and she in turn warns Cooper that if Dr. Mann's planet doesn't appear to be habitable, then they will have no choice but to go back to Earth or travel to Edmund's planet and initiate Plan B. Sacrificing millions of people on Earth, they reach Dr. Mann's planet, which is adorned with snow mountains, and they locate the beacon to check if Dr. Mann is alive. Surprisingly, Dr. Mann is alive and in cryostasis chamber. The crew rescues him and provides him with food and resources. Dr. Mann explains that the peak of the planet has no breathable air, but there is a lower surface which has suitable air. He also thinks that alien life resides at the lower surface, which is yet to be seen. Just then, Tars requests Amelia with a video message which turns out to be from Murph, parting the news of Dr. Brand's death and accusing Amelia of knowing that Endurance mission was never planned for survival of existing humans on Earth. Cooper is taken aback with this information, and Amelia swears she had no idea about her father's betrayal. Dr. Mann chimes in and confirms that Dr. Mann has already solved the equation long before the Lazarus mission took place, but they needed more information which resides in the heart of the black hole, which is impossible to achieve due to laws of nature. As per Dr. Mann, it is imperative for humanity on Earth to be sacrificed so that new civilization can be set up on a different planet. Cooper disagrees and wants to go back to his daughter. They start preparing the base at Dr. Mann's planet for colonization, and Cooper plans to travel back to Earth. Murph is determined to find a solution to save the humans, and decided to go back to her room and decipher the signals her ghost used to send when she was a kid, feeling that those signals may have the solution to making Plan A work. She visits her old room while her friend Getty checks up on Tom's family as their condition worsens. Tom is not happy with their visit and throws them out. Murph drives away only to come back to the cornfields and lighting them on fire to distract his brother. As Tom goes on to check on the farms, Murph and Getty use the opportunity to rescue his wife and son. On Mann's planet, Dr. Mann and Cooper scout out areas where they can construct lab and habitat modules. Mann explains how survival instincts always kick in humans, which is their nature, and just then they reach a cliff form where Dr. Mann throws Cooper down. But Cooper drags his foot and takes him downhill. Dr. Mann confesses that the planet is not habitable and he has been forging data just so that he can survive and go back to Earth. They have a fight and Cooper's helmet is broken. He is unable to breathe and calls Foe help, but Mann leaves him to die. Just then, Romilly gets entangled in a booby trap instilled by Dr. Mann on his damaged robot, resulting in death of another crew member. Dr. Mann races to the lander and hopes to escape using the Endurance craft desert rest of the crew on the planet. Cooper is successful in reaching to his radio and calls Amelia for help. She gets the signal and with the help of Case, saves Cooper just in time and gets him back on the lander. Dr. Mann tries to dock the lander in Endurance, but Case informs Cooper that auto-docking has been disabled, and Mann won't be able to successfully dock into the Endurance ship. Cooper warns Mann over the radio, but he pays no heed, and his unsuccessful attempts to dock in the spaceship results in an explosion, killing him and damaging the Endurance greatly. Cooper and Amelia then miraculously match the speed of rotating Endurance ship and dock in successfully. Cooper decides to use Gargantua as a giant slingshot to make Endurance reach Edmund's planet easily, as their navigation systems are kaput. He plans to get rid of all the weight such as Tars and other landers to make Endurance lighter, and they orbit Gargantua on maximum velocity. One by one, all the engines fire off and TARS detaches and goes into the black hole to gather information, just as Romilly suggested previously. Then Case announces the detachment process of Cooper's lander, which shocks Amelia. Cooper explains that resources aren't enough for both of them, and decides to sacrifice himself for Amelia's safety. Cooper also enters the black hole and flashes of lights appear and turbulence increases. The light hits the ship like bullets and the ship catches fire. As Computer tells Cooper to eject into the black hole, he does the same. Cooper then falls into a seemingly endless room and catches one wall, which turns out to be his daughter's room, which is made up of books. He realizes that he is seeing the past events that occurred in Murph's room, including him leaving for the mission. Cooper shouts and punches the book wall and sees that he can communicate in the past using Morse code. Cooper turns out to be the ghost of Murph, and he was the one sending the messages in Morse code, as well as the coordinates in sand. Present-day Murph is also in her room, looking for the messages and reminisces about her childhood memories. She then understands that the ghost is none other than her father sending messages. TARS survives and calls out to Cooper, and explains that they are in a dimension created by omnibenevolent beings, where time is a physical plane, which makes Cooper understand the role of gravity, and it can travel through time, enabling him to send messages to Murph from same dimension. Murph also deduces same theory and waits for the message. Cooper understands that the omnibenevolent beings chose Murph to save the humanity, and uses the watch he gave her to feed the quantum data in Morse code so that Plan A can work. At the same time, Murph sees the watch and notices the second's arm ticking in Morse code. She works on solving the equation and saving the humanity. In the dimension, Cooper informs TARS that the beings who created the dimension are humans who have lived long and evolved into something beyond their imagination. The dimension starts closing in and Cooper is consumed by a bright light and sees Amelia's hand reaching out to him. He realizes that he was the one who extended his arm to Amelia when their ship entered the wormhole. Cooper then wakes up in a hospital and the staff informs him that they are on a space station near Saturn named Cooper Station. Cooper thanks them for naming it after him, but the doctor corrects him that the station is named after his daughter, who will soon be coming on the station to meet him. Cooper sees how much the humans have evolved, and he also meets TARS, which he repairs back in good condition. Cooper visits her daughter in hospital as she is very old now and counting her last breath. She urges Cooper to go and look for Amelia in the other galaxy and help her settle the new colonies for human. Cooper goes away to prepare for the journey while Murph is surrounded by her extended family in her last moments. Cooper steals a spaceship with TARS and sets out to save Amelia, who is abandoned on Edmund's planet with Case. As humans evolved through time, they created a three-dimensional plane where time exists as a physical plane, and Cooper landed in that same plane due to entering the black hole. Thus Murph was able to save humanity and help build space stations across space for humans to survive using the quantum data that Cooper provided. Due to time relativity, Amelia has just landed on Edmund's planet, thinking that she is the humanity's last hope, unaware of Cooper being sent to save her.